It's Julia, your trusted travel expert for Matheson Travel, coming to you this week to talk to you a little bit about girls' getaway weekends or reunion weekends. That's just what I've come from in Chicago, and so I wanted to give you a few tips and tricks for how to things to think about if you're planning one of your own. So the first thing that first of all, you have to sort of decide, is this going to be an annual thing, a traditional week away that you always do the same time, same place, which I do have one set of friends that basically does that. Or is it going to be, this group of friends, you're really barely going to be able to get together once a year. So it's just got to be more ad hoc. And if it's like that, then the location becomes the second big consideration. And if you're like me and you have friends kind of all over the place, you're going to want to try and it's a little easier to focus on the big market, the big airport hubs, places where they have multiple different airports servicing one city, like Chicago or DC or Miami, LA, New York, those kind of places, the big markets that it's a little easier for everyone to get to from all over the place. But those places are sort of not always the most interesting. Some of the kind of secondary markets like Nashville or Charleston or New Orleans or San Diego, those are really, really fun and sometimes more unique, there's more opportunity for cool stuff for your weekend away. It's just, it might be a little bit more difficult, like less direct flights, that kind of thing for people to get to. So if cost is a major consideration, that might be something that you really want to kind of consider and think about. The third kind of big thing that you really want to think about is your housing. And sort of, you've got two options, and it really just depends on how big your group is and also where you're going. You can either all dump into a hotel or resort and just get, share rooms, 3 or 4 people into a room, which is what we did this past weekend and what we've done before in small, in resorts. Or you can rent a house, which it can be really great because then you can all be in one space, which is better for, communal sort of hanging out time and that kind of thing. But rental houses are not, always easy to find, especially if you've got a bigger group, like 10 or 12 people. Beach houses or mountain houses, they sometimes can sleep that many, but in the city, apartments and lodging, like rental houses and stuff like that in cities is not always as easy to find. So then the next thing you want to think about is what to do and how to plan it. And in my opinion, for like sort of a girls' weekend getaway, 3 nights is the minimum. 4 nights is probably maybe the sweet spot. 3 or 4 nights is really what you're going to want to spend, because you think about everyone has to travel there on the first day, and then they leave on the second day. So if you have at least 3 nights, you get 2 full days to hang out and be with each other. And so and also as far as getting away, either it's a long weekend and nobody has to take any vacation, or leaving, Friday midday and then maybe taking Monday off. That works pretty well, it seems like, for most people. And then the last thing, what to do to make it a fantastic, weekend away or girls' weekend. And there's sort of an art to this, but I know one thing that you really want to do is you really want to have dinners planned in advance, and especially you want to try and get like private room reservations. And again, this works more for a little bit larger. If it's just 3 or 4 of you, that's not a big deal. But if it's 9, 10, 12 of you, you're really going to want a private room, because if you're at all like my friends and we haven't seen each other for a year or two, there's a lot of catching up that needs to happen. And when you add a little wine or cocktails into that, the catching up can get a little loud. The stories can get a little rambunctious. And it's just really fun when you have sort of your own room, or at least a kind of quiet part of the restaurant, so you're not interrupting everybody else's or worrying that people are overhearing your crazy stories. And then what to do during the daytimes, you're going to want to have an equal amount, or somewhat equal amount of like relaxation time, either laying by the pool, shopping, maybe spa time, something like that. And also activities. We've done hikes. Like in Chicago this past weekend, we did the architectural boat river cruise, which was really cool. Activities where you're actually doing stuff together is like, another opportunity for new memories, bonds, new bonds, things like that. And it's, something different than just sitting by the pool, which, don't get me wrong, you need to have some of that time, but it's good to have some other activities planned as well. So those are just a few of my tips for planning an excellent girls getaway or guys getaway, although, they might want a little bit heavier on the activity side of things, not so much shopping for the boys sometimes. But if you have any other questions or would like help planning your next friends getaway, let me know, give me a call, and that's it for this week. I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.